Hi guys, welcome to Stack Reframe. So in the previous video, we have learned all about tables in HTML, isn't it? So in today's video, we are going to learn about forms in HTML. Okay. Now let me create one form file here, form.html. Okay. I'll use my basic HTML structure. I'll write here forms in HTML. Okay. Now for those who don't know what form is, I'll just show you with one example. Let us go to any website like facebook.com. If you go here, you see what they are using here. They are using forms, isn't it? What form does is forms are used to collect data from the user. Okay, that is what forms are used in the web page. Okay, now you see what it is doing. It is collecting your email address and password. It is a sort of login form, isn't it? When you hit email ID and password, it will get logged into your Facebook ID, isn't it? Now if you see here, there is a create new account. If you click here, what you are getting, it is a sign up form. It is a registration form, isn't it, where you are filling your data, and this data is collected by Facebook and they will use it for their purpose, isn't it? So this is why forms are used. Okay, now what are how can this forms are used in the web page? We can collect data from the user through which sort of things, like text boxes. Here you see, here this is called text box, where you are going to write something, isn't it? These are text boxes. These are email address. Here you have to write, here you have to write password. These are called drop down menus, isn't it, where you are going to select your date of birth. This is called drop down menu, isn't it? Now here if you see, we have male, female, gender, but you see this is a radio button. If you click here, this one will get selected, or else this one will, only one will get selected, isn't it? So by using all this, like text boxes, radio button, we have one checkbox also, where you will click, you will check it and hit the enter button, isn't it? That also we have. So it is a combination of, let's say it is a combination of text boxes, drop down menus. We have here radio buttons also, submit button also, check boxes also, isn't it? So this is what we call it as a form. Okay, so let us go back to our VS Code here, and let us create one form. Okay, so what first of all, what you have to do is, you have to write here a tag called form. Okay, and when you hit enter, you will get here form action is equal to something. Okay, so this is the attribute. We'll discuss it in the end of the video. Okay, now let us just see here. You will write only form. Okay, and in this form you have to write all those, you have to make all the text boxes that you want to create. Okay, now let us make our first one. Let us make our first input. If you write here input and hit enter, you will get input type is equal to. Now if you have to write something, if you want to get a text box where user should write something, you will write here text, isn't it? Input type is equal to text. That will make a text box. Okay, now if you again, you have to write here name. Just see what I'm doing. Name is equal to, let's say, I will write name. Okay, and we are going to use name here. Now you go to the output, you see what it is giving the output. Just wait, I think it is, will do it by 100%. Now you see 125. Now you see what it is. It is giving a text box, isn't it, where you can write something, isn't it? You see, you can write something. But now, if how can we know that this text box is used for what purpose? The user can write here name also. User can write here number also. Anything we can write. So we have to write, if we want that user should write name in this text box, what we can do, we should write here name, isn't it? So that you should know in this text box we are going to write name. Okay, so for that what we have is, here we have one more thing, that is label. Label, we are, if you hit enter, you see label for it is giving. That means we are assigning a label for this particular input type, so that user should understand for what purpose this input text is, where what thing we are going to write in that particular input box. Okay, now if you write here input for name, okay, and if you write here name, okay, now you see what happens. Go to the output. Now you see it is coming name, isn't it? Now I think it is pretty clear that in this particular text box we are going to write name, isn't it? So this is how we create a text box. Okay, now let us go and just make something. Now let us make one text box for email ID. Okay, so what I will use, input type is equal to text, isn't it? And let us say name is equal to, what I will write, let's say I'm creating for email, I will write email, isn't it? Now you see there is one more text box that has been one, but how user should know that this text box is for email ID? So what I will do is, again I will use here a label, isn't it? Label for, if I write here email, and in this particular thing if I write here email, now you see how it is going. It is looking good, isn't it? So one more thing I need to tell you, that uh, for making a email text box, we have a separate input type that is called here email. If you write here email, you see what happens. This is same, but here you have to write email only. If you do not, if you write anything else, it will give you an error that it will say please write email, isn't it? This sort of thing is there. For making a text box of email, you have to give input type is equal to email only here. Okay, and for giving, for making an input type where the user is going to write something like his name or anything, you go for text. Okay, this one is important, so that is why I'm telling you. Now let us make one more thing, that is equal to, let us make one more input type. We'll take it as a text and we'll use for mobile, or taking contact number, okay, of user. So what I'll do is I'll write here name is equal to, let's say, phone, if I'm writing here. Okay, and again I'll use a label here, label for, if I write here phone, isn't it? And I will write here mobile number, let's say. Okay, now you see how it is looking. Now we have generated one more text that is used for taking mobile number, isn't it? Now let us create one drop down menu also, like we already saw in Facebook. So for creating drop down, we have a tag called select. If you write here select, you see it is giving automatically, it is given by VS Code, select name is equal to something, ID is equal to something. We'll see what is the use of that. Okay, I'll just remove this and I'll write here, let us say we are going to make a qualification drop down, isn't it? So I'll write here qualification. Okay, fine. And inside this we are going to use option. Option, if you click, you're getting option value, isn't it? So if you write here option value is equal to, let's say 10th, I'm writing here, and here whatever you will write, you will get a drop down, isn't it? If you write 10th, again copy this, I'm just going to paste it for 12th, graduation, post graduation, PhD, let's say. What I'll write here, I will write here 12, I'll do it grad, I'll do it here post grad, and I'll do here PhD. I will also give the change the value here. I'll just copy this and paste it here, isn't it? Copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, now paste. Now go to back to our web page. Let's see, is it coming or not? Yes, it is coming. You see, there is a drop down menu which says 10, 12, grad, postgrad, and PhD. But you see, the first one, the first option value that we have given is automatically coming here, isn't it? So it is not a good way to make a drop down. So for that what we can do is, I'll again do here, I'll go back here and I'll write here option. Okay, and I'll write here, I am not going to give any value here. I'll just write here, let's say select. Okay, if I give you a select, so here you see the first value is getting select. Now it is good, isn't it? So after seeing this, the user will select and then we'll choose 10 12 that postgrad or PhD, isn't it? Am I clear? So let us go now you see here, we should write something here, isn't it? So for that what I will do, I will again go for level here again. I can do go for level here, level for, if I write here qualification, isn't it? I can do that and I'll write here qualification. Okay, now you see how it is looking. Now it is looking good, isn't it? Okay, we'll give colon also. Just check now. Now it is looking good, isn't it? Qualification. Now it is more user friendly, isn't it? By looking into the names. Fine. Now we have more things like, let's say we have to make a message box, okay, where users should write something. So for that we have another tag that is called text area. Okay, so let's say if I write here text area, hit enter, here we are getting name is equal to something, id, calls, and we can assign call and row. You see here, if I write here name is equal to, let's say message. Okay, I'm not giving any id here till now. I'll tell you in the last, once the video we'll complete this, after that I'll tell you. But now if you see, it is, we have specified here that calls is equal to 30 and rows is equal to 10. So it is taking 30 column and 10 rows. That is why it is getting bigger, isn't it? That is why it is getting a big text area. So what I'll do, I'll just remove this. You'll get a default size here. Now you see how it is looking. Now it is looking good, isn't it? It's a small one. We can anyway can expand it from here. So it is looking good, isn't it? Fine. Now what I'll do is, I will use here a p tag. I can use, isn't it? If I can use here p tag, and if I write here describe yourself, uh, yourself. Now since we have used p tag, I think it will change the line, isn't it? Because p tag is a block level. We'll discuss in the next video why this line is changed. Now what I can do is, since it has changed, so we'll make all incomes in below, isn't it? It will look good. What for changing a line? Okay, what we can do is, we can use a block level element also. But since we do not know now what is block level, what is inline, so for that what I'll do is, I'll use here a br tag. Okay, br tag. What br stands for? Br stands for break. Okay, so whenever you write br tag, you see I have written here, isn't it? In the first one, input type is equal to text name. For name I have given here, I have written a br. What it does is, it will just change the line and the second all will come down, isn't it? So this is what br tag does. If I give one more br here, what it does, it will take two line break, you see, isn't it? So for looking good, what I'll do, I'll just copy this br tag and I'll paste everywhere so that it should come down and it will look good. Just see what I'm doing, just follow me what I'm doing. Okay, now let me see how it is looking. Now it is looking good, isn't it? It is coming down, isn't it? Now I think it is looking like a form, isn't it? Now again what we can do is, let us make one radio button, isn't it? It will, as we have seen in Facebook. So what I can do is, I will write here, I'll write here gender. I'll just make the gender one, gender. I'll write male. Okay, and after that you have to create a input bus, isn't it? So I'll write input, and input type, what I'm going to write, I'm going to write a radio. If you write input type is equal to radio, Now what happens, you see, we are getting a radio button, isn't it? But since we have not given BR tag here, that is why it is coming from here. So what I will do, I'll just give this particular BR tag, copy it, and I'll paste it here. So now it should be come down, isn't it? Okay. Now input type is equal to radio we have given. Again, I will give your name also. Name is equal to my gender, some sort of thing. You can write anything here. Okay. Now male radio button is done. Now what I will do is I will again make a female also. Female. Then again I will write input type is equal to radio here, isn't it? And again I will give the name same. Let's say my gender, isn't it? Now you see our radio button is created, isn't it? You see, if you click here, male is selected. If you click here, female is selected, isn't it? So it is looking good now, isn't it? Now let us create checkbox. For that, what we can do? Again, I will give here a BR tag so that the second one comes in the next line, isn't it? What I will do is I will make a checkbox. So just see what a checkbox, how to create. If I write here input type is equal to, if I write here checkbox, you see it is already giving. Now if I write here, just see the output is coming in checkbox where you can click it, isn't it? You can check and uncheck, isn't it? So for what purpose we use? For example, if I write here, let's say I agree to the uh, terms and condition, maybe just taking an example, guys. So you see, now if you agree to the terms and condition, what here you are going to check it and check it. If you do not agree, you uncheck it. If you agree, you check it, isn't it? So this is how checkbox is used for. What I'll do, I'll use again BR tag here. Oops, sorry. I will again use a BR tag here 2 times. Now, finally, what we are going to do, we are going to submit the form, isn't it? For that, we need a button, isn't it? Submit button. When you click, it should get submitted. So for that, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to write input type is equal to, if you write here submit, you see it is submit is coming, input type is equal to submit. Now, I'll write here name is equal to, let's say we are making a registration form. So I'll write name is equal to registration, anything reg. Now you see how is the output? It is coming a submit button, isn't it? I can also pass here a value. Okay. So what does value here does is, if I write here value is equal to, if I write here register, whatever the name you give here in the value, that will come here. Instead of submit, it is coming here register, isn't it? Or you can write here, let's say submit now, isn't it? I will write here submit now. Now you see how it is looking. It is coming submit now, isn't it? One more thing I will do is, since for what this particular thing form is created, we don't know. So for better understanding, what I'll do, I'll write here. I'll use one H1 form here. Okay, and I'll write here registration form, isn't it? So now you see how it is looking. Now I think by looking to this page, anyone can understand that this particular page, this particular form is of registration form, isn't it? Where we have to use name, have to use email, have to use mobile number and all this. And if I submit, it will get submitted, isn't it? So this is how we make a form. Okay. Now the important thing to note here is that there are few more points that we need to cover. The first one is here. If you give here, now you see, if I click on this name, you see for this particular label, we have used label for this, isn't it? So just see here what I'm going to do. Just one small changes that I'm going to make is, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to put here an ID. Okay, ID is unique in nature, isn't it? So that is why what I'm going to do, if I write here ID is equal to name, and here label for whatever the name I have given here, ID, The same name if I write here, what happens? It is this particular text box is getting linked with this particular label. That is why we use ID. Now you see, if you click on the name, just a click, single click, you see, it is, see here, black lining is coming, isn't it? Now what happens here is, if you just give here a ID name, and the same ID name if you give here for label name here, what happens, this particular input type text box is going to get labeled and going to get assigned for this particular name only. Okay, so you see, if you click here, one click, it is telling that for name you enter in this particular text box, isn't it? But since we have not done this for email, if you click single click, nothing is happening, isn't it? So this is important thing that we should do while creating a form. What we should do, we should give here an ID. Okay, anything, email if I say, and since here email written, that is why I gave email. Now you see, if I click here single time, it is specifying that for email you enter in this particular text field. Okay, so this is for labeling it. It is for specifying that for writing email, which text box should I use? For writing name, which text box should I use? Okay, so this is the way this is a method of creating a good form. Okay, so we should follow this rule. I will again do this here. Let's say we have used phone, so I will write here phone. Okay, now I think we have not used anywhere else. So you see, name we click, we'll write here, email we click, we write here, mobile number we click here. Okay, I think it is pretty clear now. Okay, so these things we know. Now let us fill here some data. Stack reframe, if I write here, email ID is equal to, let's say, stack at the rate something gmail.com, mobile number 123456789, anything we can write, qualification PhD, writing something here, gender is male. Okay, and I agree, and if I submit here, what happens? You see, just see. Now if you can notice here, when I just hit the submit now button, now you just see this particular URL. Whatever data we feed here in the text box, all is viewed here, is all it is seen here. Name is equal to stack reframe, email is equal to stack at the rate gmail.com, phone number whatever you have written, it is just showing here, isn't it? 12345, qualification is PhD, message is FEW, gender is something, submit now, everything is here, seen here. So why it is seen here? Because the default method of this particular form is get. Okay, so here comes the method type. If you write here method, we have two set of method, that is get and post. Okay, and the default method of form is get. If you write here get, so the default is get, we did not need to write this. In the get method, what happens, if you just fill the detail and if you hit submit now, it will just show in your URL, isn't it? But when it comes to post, it will not show. Now let us go deep into the get and post method. Okay, so what get does and what post does, I'll just explain you verbally. What get does is, when a form is submitted using get method here, if you write here get, or it is a default method, so you do not need not to write also. Okay, but when a form is submitted using get method, what happens, the data is appended to the URL, isn't it? This one is called URL, isn't it? This one is the URL. Now the data is appended to the URL. You see here, all the data is appended here, isn't it? And this means that the data is visible in the URL, isn't it? So the problem here is that if you are giving any sensitive information in your form, like let's say card details and all, if you have a form where you are in getting your bank details or card details, so all these are sensitive information, isn't it? So what happens here is, if you submit the form using get, so your sensitive information will show here, isn't it? And that is not good. That is why form comes into picture here. And what form does is, it will post the data but you will not see anything in the URL. That is what post does. Okay, and what does is, why this data do not comes here? Because the form in the post method, the form data is sent in the request body. Okay, rather than URL. Here we are placed. Here the data has been sent to the backend using URL, isn't it? But that does not happen with post. Okay, it is the data is sent using request body. Okay, that is why post is used mainly while creating a form, because there if you enter any sensitive information also, so it will not be seen in the URL. Okay, and it will directly go to the backend. Now let us see the example of that also. What I'll do, I'll close that and I will again write here method is equal to, I'll write here post. Okay, now again I will go live here, and I'll again fill data here, something stack, email is equal to stack at the rate something. Okay, mobile number anything I'll write here, qualification PhD, description anything, mail, agree, and if I hit submit now, what happens? You see, the page isn't working, isn't it? Because we have not connected this page to backend. That is why. Now you see, is there anything that is visible in your URL? Of course, no, isn't it? Why? Because we have used here form method. We have used here method form to post our data to the backend, isn't it? So this is the difference between get method and post method. Okay. So I hope by looking to this video, you are pretty clear about this, what is form and how a form is created, and what are the methods that are used while creating a form, like get method, form method, isn't it? What is label, how to use ID, isn't it, to make to this use label for this particular text box you see here. Okay, so I hope by looking to this video you are pretty clear about how to create a form in detail, isn't it? Now you might have seen while we are looking into the Facebook page, you might have seen, if you are not writing anything, you are getting a red mark and it is showing that please enter your name or something, isn't it? So that thing you can do with when you learn JavaScript. Okay, we'll use dynamicity in the web page when we use JavaScript. Here we are only just getting a form, that is why we are not getting some sort of error, isn't it? You might have seen anywhere that name is mandatory, first name is mandatory, or email ID is mandatory, isn't it? So that we can do, but we can do using JavaScript. Okay, so that is why I am not explaining here now. Once we'll use JavaScript, then I will explain it in detail. Okay, so that's it for now, guys. And if you like my videos, please subscribe my channel, and also hit the like button, also subscribe button also, so that you should get all my videos once I upload this. Okay, and if you have any sort of comment, please any sort of issue, please share your issue in the comment section and we'll reply back. Okay, so that's it for now, guys. I'm closing the session. Take care, guys. Bye.